Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi. We're on Love 99.5 FM and affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We're on Volta Premier in Ho, Radio Y in Wa, KTU Radio in Koforidua. We're on Sun City and Jubilee FM in Keta. We're also on Radio Max in Takrade. We are live on Twitter Spaces. We're on Facebook and myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon, opposition NDC set to hold crunch meeting with two leading candidates at Ketu North following stiff resistance to the Electoral Commission's declaration of the polls as ending in a tie.
There is a tie between Adanu and
I won the election. I am not the one that issues the ballot papers.
We'll also put the focus on the 17 NDC members of parliament who lost the parliamentary primaries over the weekend.
So a man who has died in the market, you don't need to announce his funeral. They're saying that you must first have heard before you can chew.
That's why I say don't be in a hurry to count your chickens before the eggs hatch, because you could be mistaken. You count eggs as chicken.
I take you live to the northern region where NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama is expected to deliver his first official address after that resounding victory. Also this afternoon, Office of the Special Prosecutor opens investigations into allegations of inducement and bribery in the just ended NDC presidential and parliamentary primaries as an alleged 40 cedis transport support provided by former President Mahama to the delegates is in focus.
The highest I've ever given the delegate in my constituency. You can call and find out. It's 100 cities.
We'll get to also a defeated parliamentary aspirant in a Jurassic Dumase, Juliana Kinang Wassan, has been summoned to appear before the OSP on suspected corruption. Also ahead of the IMF board meeting on Ghana's application for a $3 billion bailout, Deputy Finance Minister John Kuma says Ghana is lobbying China and the Paris Club on possible outright debt cancellation.
Based on our negotiation and our ability to convince China, and within the framework that has been approved, Ghana should have major benefits and some reliefs on our debt.
We have sports.
A former Black Stars international fears Ghana's national teams could suffer without proper grassroots football structure. We'll hear from him in 20 minutes.
And my name is Hilda Bassi, a Nigerian woman from Akwa Ibom State. I am going to be attempting to break the Guinness World Record for the longest cooking time by an individual.
91 hours and 21 minutes of cooking, over 250 recipes. 27-year-old Hilda Bassi breaks the world record of cooking as she sets out to extend the record to 96 hours. Do stay with me for that and more here on the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Let's get in now. And we start off from the election headquarters, and this afternoon the opposition NDC is set to hold a crunch meeting with two leading candidates who contested its Ketu North parliamentary primaries. Well, this follows fierce resistance mounted by one of the candidates to the results declared by the Electoral Commission. The EC officials declared the race as a tie after a recount, meaning fresh elections would have to be organized in 21 days for former Deputy Youth Organizer Eric Edem Agbana and John Kwabla Adanu.
Adanu requested for recount. Then after the recount, these are the results we had. So on the basis of these results, I, Prince Agbamanya, can declare that there is a tie between Adanu and Edem Agbana. So there will be reround for John Kwabla Adanu and Edem Agbana.
Well, Mr. Agbana says there will be no such runoff.
I won the elections. I am not the one that issues the ballot papers. Everyone and our agents signed against that. And again, the EC officials engaged in another act of illegality where, without any proper consultation, cancelled the initial figures as written, and we're trying to force the agents to sign against it. As I speak to you, I am the parliamentary candidate for the NDC in Ketu North. There will not be a rerun in Ketu North, and that point must be made.
Well, that's Eric Agbana earlier there. But let me bring in a member of our political desk, Joseph Akable, who has been monitoring events within the NDC. So, Joseph, I know that the meeting is currently underway at the party headquarters to resolve this particular issue. What are we learning from the party, though?
And so they are, in terms of the meeting that they are supposed to organize between the party executives and the candidates at Ketu North, that particular one will take place on Tuesday. Okay. But the other meetings that are taking place relative to the entire primaries. But the aim of that particular meeting on Tuesday, the Ketu North one, is to hear from both sides, that is the two candidates involved, and also to hear from the Electoral Commission officials. In terms of the results, as was declared, we have seen a copy of what the Electoral Commission announced. And that particular document does make the point that the voting ended in a tie. And so first, you see John Kwabla Adanu, who had 358. Initially, the figure that is written by his name is 359. And so you see that the 359 has been cancelled and there's 358 now. Then there's also Edem Agbana, who initially had 360, but that has been cancelled to 358. And you heard the official in that short declaration. The backstory is that once they carried out the initial one and realized that there was a difference of one, there was a request for a recount. And so they asked for the recount to be done. The recount was done. Then they realized that there were some ballots. We are told 3 ballots specifically, 2 on the side of Edem Agbana and 1 on the side of Mr. Adanu, that did not have the stamp of the Electoral Commission. And so they took those ones out, and that is how come they both ended with 358.
That's interesting, but we'll stay a while longer on the NDC primaries, because we'll also work the lines and see if we can bring in the party executives on this particular issue. But 17 NDC members of parliament were unsuccessful in their quest to be retained as parliamentary candidates. Well, this includes former Power Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor of Peru East and Alhaji ABA Fuseni of Sanarego. Joseph, you're still with me on this. You've been working it, looking at the figures and the names that have popped up. Who are the others?
And so there's Alex Adumaku Mensah of Setra Franklins. That's the constituency where he contested against his nephew, Dr. Kwabena Dufour II. And as we are aware, they both lost, and specifically Dr. Kwabena Dufour II lost to Hajia Afra Nasira by 8 votes. Other losers, Edward Bauer of Bongo constituency, Wisdom Gediso of Krachi East, Abeku Krentile Kumfi, Delasowa MP for Kwando, Angela Ofori Aloute, that's a Fajato South, Kobla Mensah Woyome, South Tong MP, Thomas Ada Dalu MP for Chiana Paga, Albert Akuka of Garu, Samson Tangombu, that is Navrongo Central, Augustine Teria, Bia West, Peter Kwachi Aka, Memphis Central, Christian Otutei, that is Sege, Edward Derry, that is Lambusi, and we know that Dr. Titus Bayo won that particular constituency. Then there is Sophia Kwaku. She's currently the MP for Obum Domia Braba. She switched to Ayawaso Central.
Okay. Well, the Aswasi MP Mutaka Mubarak is meanwhile accusing national executives of masterminding the defeat of some of his colleagues. Listen.
These are colleagues who had gone for election. If you were to call people and allow them to speak, those who have lost, some who have won, and they are to tell you how people have poked their nose into their constituencies, you'll be shocked how people have decided to put their fingers across the constituencies. This was something that I will never agree.
Talking about people,
I will never agree. If I hear any person doing that, I will have insisted that the person be brought to book. Look at numbers that we've lost. I'm hearing 17, 16.
Yes.
Whichever it is, that is too large a number. Because in 2009 and 2000, prior to the 2020 election, we were only 109 in the chamber. With the leader Haruna, we worked so hard to make sure that minimum loss was achieved. Only 9 people lost. If you strike it even by percentages, you see that was a smaller percentage than the loss today. I'm not going to call names. Regardless of the head, I'm not going to stand in the public to wish NDC bad or to say that NDC should break or to exacerbate the confusion. I'm only drawing attention that, look, we have a lot of work to do, especially our Council of Elders.
Well, so that's Mutaka Mubarak, the Aswase MP there. Let's head to the northern region now, and we know that the NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama will shortly deliver his first major address since receiving the massive endorsement of delegates. And thankfully, we've been joined on the phone by the Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu. He will be part of the many elected candidates joining Mr. Mahama at UDS for this event. We are grateful for your time here on the Midday News. Before we get into the event itself, we've been hearing from the Aswase MP Mutaka Mubarak raising concerns about national executives masterminding the defeat of some of your colleagues. 17 of your colleagues lost this parliamentary primaries. What do you say to it? Do you agree with him?
Not the best of development for the cohesion and unity of the party and for the use of experience, hands, and the wisdom from those experiences to keep the unity of the NDC and the parliamentary organ together. I shudder would be concerned that if there was a major vote by government tomorrow in Parliament, how will these 16, 17 people relate to the matter before them if they so believe what the Honorable Muntaka is speaking to? But all the same, what the NDC needs now is unity. Nothing more than that. The Ghanaian people will be very disappointed if we don't save them from this crashed economy, excruciating hardship, unbearable suffering of the Ghanaian people. Tamale South is a proud host of John Dramani Mahama, the elected flag bearer of the NDC and the elected leader of the NDC. Today, he assumes the leadership of the party until after the crucial presidential and parliamentary elections.
We'll talk about today's event shortly, Mr. Haruna Idrisu. But I would want to find out briefly from you, because there were talks also that the party was working against the likes of you as well. There were, stiff opposition. There were issues that came up. But I would want to find out what really will be the motive of the national executives in working against the likes of you and Mutaka and the rest of them.
Anybody seeking to fight against Haruna Idrisu in Tamale South is searching for a needle at midnight. That person would not be successful in darkness. That's a near impossibility. I have the full backing and absolute support of my constituents, and they don't intend to abandon me now until probably as and when. But I do know that in competitive democratic politics, there are egos to manage. There are people who naturally would want to undermine others. I don't have evidence to that. I haven't spoken to any of the defeated candidates, but just to urge them to work hard with whoever have emerged in their consensus for the NDC to retain those seats and for us to work to improve. My focus in Northern Region is to improve the NDC seats from 9 probably to 15 in 2024, working with my colleagues, whether new or old. And that is my primary focus. As for undermine, we do hear packets of it. In fact, the Honorable Muntaka was a target, and Ghanaians will appreciate him someday in the foreseeable future. If there's any member of parliament who provided discipline, provided cohesion, was in control of chamber dynamics, it was the Honorable Muntaka. I have said that I don't want to comment publicly on the reshuffle that happened to me and him and the Honorable Aveji, but just to say that for purpose of the future, we are human beings before we are politicians, and we ought to be treated as human beings. Beyond that, I don't intend to comment on that. I've put a minority leader behind me. In any case, how can my aspiration be to lead opposition? It can be a worthy political aspiration. I want to be in government, and I'll strive to work to be in government, nothing more. So that is path. As he himself said, we work hard as leaders to increase the NDC parliamentary seats from 106 to 137 compared with the presidential outcome. It means we did well, and Ghanaians appreciated what we did. We got a speaker elected. We were united. Thanks to Muntaka. Show me any minority in the world that can hold a government for 6 months, yet he could keep the unity of the caucus. Nobody slipped through when we said that we won't allow a JEPA the questionable corrupt deal to go through with e-levy. So it means we provided leadership, but nonetheless, some people have been so put in that position.
Okay, as a 4 times unopposed candidate, I think congratulations, the well deserved. But let's talk about today's event. The flag bearer of the party, John Dramani Mahama, will deliver his first major address shortly. I'm told you and your colleagues are showing up in full support. Let's talk about today's event. Is it underway? What exactly are we to expect?
Yeah, this morning I visited President Mahama at his home. He's all set. I'm sure he was editing what will appear to be a blueprint of his message to Ghanaians. I have said that we are a proud host. The University for Development Studies is in my constituency, the Tamale South constituency, which remains a strong NDC constituency for him and for Haruna. So we look forward to it. Part of his legacy would be to determine a successor. Given the constitutional limitations within the 4 years, he would have to determine for this country who can anchor our affairs well. I also expect him to make some major pronouncement on constitutional review. Ghana needs to review its constitution to serve as better, to strengthen our institutions. I expect him to focus on the building of viable public political institutions that are accountable to the citizens. And it looks good. I've seen many actors of the party in Tamale. I'm heading towards UDS shortly. It will be a very successful event, and we are happy that we are playing host to that event.
We are grateful. That's Haruna Idrisu, who's the Tamale South MP, and your election headquarters will bring you details of that event. Meanwhile, the campaign team of Dr. Kwabena Dufo says he remains a committed member of the NDC despite his disagreement with how the party managed the primaries. Antonio Edemasenyo is spokesperson.
We've seen people speculating around that he's going to go independent, he's going to break away and form his own party, or he's going to join the NPP. Nothing of that sort is going to happen. Dr. Dufo is going to be an NDC member, and he's going to empower the grassroots to make sure that we win the 2024 election and provide the needed leadership that this country needs. That the Ahunto train will continue. And the Ahunto train is basically micro businesses that he's given to the constituencies. Each constituency is going to have 4 big tents, 100 chairs, and a very modern sound system. It is for the constituencies to rent for outdoor events, generate money to help their constituency. And his focus has always been to empower the grassroots.
We'll stay a while longer in election headquarters, and we know that the special prosecutor this afternoon is investigating issues about bribery and corruption in the just ended parliamentary and presidential primaries of the NDC. Joining us is learning the office has summoned some of the participants in the elections to appear before it to answer for the alleged crimes. Nana Boachi Yadom was at the voting center in the Ejura constituency and has filed this report.
Article 33, Clause 1 of the Representation of People Law 1992 provides that a person commits the offense of bribery if he or she makes a gift or provides something of value to a voter to induce the vote in a certain way. At the Ejura Sechodumase constituency, delegates rushed for cash as parliamentary aspirant Juliana Kinan Wasan shared money at the electoral grounds during her entry. Some delegates were seen receiving envelopes from agents of some candidates. Incumbent MP Bawa Brima also shared knapsack spraying machines to delegates. This is a gift from Honorable Bawa Brima. He said we should use it on our farms. We want to say a very big thank you to him, and we hope this primaries goes well for him as well. Communications officer of the NDC at the Ejura Sechodumase constituency, Abubakar Sadiq Osman, told Joy News candidates found culpable will face appropriate disciplinary action.
It's actually against the party rules. We have instructed all candidates to be mindful of the things they do that go to undermine the quality of the process we kind of have here. So where we are now, I'm sure it will be very difficult for you to actually kind of impugn the person because we're going for a contest. Any move to kind of try to correct them now would look as if you're being biased towards the person.
Well, some of the candidates in the just ended primaries have been summoned by the Office of the Special Prosecutor for investigations to begin. My colleague Elton Broby joins me in studio with copies of some of the letters that we've intercepted. Let's start with the winner of the presidential race, John Dramani Mahama. What's the charge against him?
So, Emefa, the OSP is saying that they are investigating this statement that was issued by Joyce Bauer Muktari hours before the Congress. Part of it reads, as the party heads to the polls on Saturday for the presidential parliamentary primaries, the John Mahama campaign wishes to inform all of Mr. Mahama's decision to support delegates with some TNT to enable them travel to the voting centers. And this is a statement signed by Joyce Bauer. The OSP is saying that they are investigating this, whether they can establish that there is corruption in this matter, and then they will go ahead and invite the former president to answer for it. And some people confirm this.
Okay.
And the last 4 years, the same thing. Now, 20 cities. Normally, what we do is after the voting, you have to take your money. But for now, I don't know what they are doing about it. They say is sharing the money individual. It's supposed to be given to the chairmen so that the chairman will for everyone, which is 40 cities per person.
Mr. the mama say in Keska, I say, Obia for Tegana for Tegana. I'm going to say, whoever Mr. Rafa, only the Dila Rushita, the farm super, the farm super, the farm super, I will say, the whoever Mr. Rafa.
Now let's talk about the cash spree at Ejura Secretary Dumasi by Juliana Kinangwasan.
So the letter we've cited says that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has commenced an investigation into suspected corruption in respect of the public election at the NDC primaries for the election of parliamentary candidates for the Ejura Secretary constituency conducted on Saturday, May 13, 2023. The OSP considers you a person necessary for the investigation. You are directed to attend the Office of the Special Prosecutor, South Ridge, Accra, on Thursday, 18th May 2023 at 10 a.m. You may be accompanied by your counsel, and this is addressed to Juliana, the woman who is seen spraying money.
Okay. Well, is she the only one?
So the MP who won the election at Ejura has also been invited. The accusation against her, he shared some knapsack spraying machines for the delegates to influence them, sort of, that enable him win the election. And he's also been invited to answer for this alleged infraction.
And this will not be the first time the OSP is probing such political inducement.
So according to the OSP, after the NPP's Congress that elected their national officers, they invited 10 officers who were deemed to have corrupted their way during the elections. And they are saying that our investigation showed that there was not enough evidence to prosecute these matters. That's the reason why they didn't, make public these matters. But then the MCE for Draben, who also bribed his way through during the confirmation stage, according to the ASP, they called 5 witnesses. The MCE, the former MCE, did not call anybody. They expect the High Court to deliver judgment on this matter this week.
This is your election headquarters. We're going for a quick break here on the Midday News. The news is live on Joy 99.7 FM. The Midday News is sponsored by Petrosol. Always a delightful experience. Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplast goes, water flows. When we return, we have sports and then also 91 hours and 21 minutes of cooking. Over 250 recipes. 27-year-old Hilda Bassi breaks the world record of cooking as she sets out to extend the record to 96 hours.
My name is Hilda Bassi, a Nigerian woman from Apawu State. I am going to be attempting to break the Guinness World Record for the longest cooking time by an individual.
Imagine say water wake up at dawn, bath, chop, where it vanish for your area for 2 weeks. You not get one drop safe inside your tank.
Hey.
Haja, our life was in dangerous. Only our neighbor get water with water tank.
Water tank?
Yes, water tank. Mamma mia, that water tank get meter for checking water level. That water tank be fine past Kumasi Selenium. That water tank be tough like Ghana Army. That water tank, they carry water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! That's my boss, Mr. Poncho go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Let's do sports.
Thank you very much, Emefa. Now, former Black Stars midfielder Derek Boateng has expressed fears that Ghana may not be able to match the best teams in Africa following lack of attention on grassroots football. Ghana has not participated at the Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations since 2017, with other nations like Senegal and Morocco dominating. The Black Starlets recently won the UEFA U16 mini tournament in Serbia, but Derek Boateng wants the FA to be more proactive.
When I go to these Francophone countries, Senegal, Mali, all these places, the kind of talent I saw, the kind of talent that they produce, sometimes I'm scared of our game. I'm really am. And nobody's doing anything about it. There's a lot of Ghanaian players playing in Senegal, in the academies. Who is going for them? Who is checking on them? How are they doing? And they are playing the best academies in there. But it's like they are not interested in that.
Well, that's former Black Stars international Derek Boateng.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. Now, Ghana expects the International Monetary Fund to approve the first tranche of $600 million as soon as Wednesday, paving the way for disbursement within a week. Ghana is seeking $3 billion from the fund to shore up its battered economy. On Friday, IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said Ghana's official creditors had provided the necessary financing assurances for the IMF Executive Board to look at signing off on the loan. President Akufo-Addo is hopeful the Wednesday meeting will be the last ahead of the disbursement.
Next Wednesday, the board itself will meet and give final approval to the Ghanaian demand. So the sacrifices that the countries had to make this last year, the difficulties that we're going, it may be that at long last we're going to see the beginning of the recovery. Because with the approval of the IMF, we're then in a strong position then to make other arrangements that will help our economy get back into a strong place.
Well, Joy News is learning there's intense lobbying by Ghana for a total cancellation of the $4 billion owed China and the Paris Club. Deputy Finance Minister John Kuma says the talks are going well.
We have the assurance from the IMF, especially the managing director, who has already stated that she will move with speed as soon as the financial assurances are granted. And we look forward to hearing from them any moment from now. And I strongly believe that based on our negotiations and our ability to convince China and within the framework that has been approved, Ghana should have major benefits and some reliefs on our debts.
That's Deputy Finance Minister Dr. John Kuma. Well, a team of public health nurses and disease control officers have been dispatched to Ago, a farming community in the Nkwanta South District of the Oti region, to investigate a case of suspected poisoning after 25 people were hospitalized after eating at a funeral. The victims are said to have suffered acute diarrhea. Samples have also been sent to medical laboratories for further investigations. We can hear from the medical superintendent of Nkwanta Municipal Hospital, Dr. Theophilus Amwate.
Most of them are responding to treatment. Their symptoms of diarrhea and vomiting have subsided, and they are likely to be discharged today. I would like to appeal to the authorities and philanthropists to help, because it was an unplanned event, an emergency. They came in without their health insurance. So if aid is given to them, it will help the hospital a lot in terms of sorting their bills out.
That's Medical Superintendent of Nkwanta Municipal Hospital. Now, how long can you cook 250 recipes?
It's officially 9 days until we make history. Now, for those of you that don't know, hi guys, my name is Hilda Bassi, a Nigerian woman from Apawu State. And starting from the 11th of May, I am going to be attempting to break the Guinness World Record for the longest cooking time by an individual.
And yes, she's been able to do it. As of 11:22 a.m. today, Hilda Bassi has cooked for 91 hours and 21 minutes, surpassed the previous record set by an Indian chef, Lata Tondon, in 2019. The previous title holder cooked for 87 hours, 45 minutes and 00 seconds. Bassi started her 4-day cooking marathon challenge on May 11 at the Amory Gardens, cooking over 250 recipes. Well, the 27-year-old will keep cooking to extend the the record till the 96th hour. Now, just before we go, Sanarugu MP ABA Fuseni unfortunately lost his bid to be the NDC's parliamentary candidate for the 2024 polls. His time in parliament will forever be remembered for the colorful language in which he expressed his views.
That's why I say don't be in a hurry to count your chickens before the eggs hatch, because you could be mistaken to count eggs as chicken.
If a lion is found of patronizing the marketplace, they will treat it like a puppy. When the horse joins the race, the donkey will be seen as the ass that it is, to smoke the dust of the horse.
But when an elder is in the house, the grain will not be allowed to be soaked by the rain.
So a man who has died in the market, you don't need to announce his funeral.
They're saying that you must first have heard before you can chew corn.
You see, first you have to chase away the hyena before you blame the goat. It's been said, you don't show an indigent the way to his house. The testicle that will degenerate into hernia, it will be spotted from the very first day it descends.
For everything that in the country had gone up except the height of the president.
Because our people say it is the mischief of the mosquito that enables the ordinary citizen to slap the chief. Yeah. And a lie is like a pregnancy. The older it grows, the more exposed it becomes. So the man who is supposed to do his nightly duties, okay, when he fails, he lays the blame on errant mosquitoes.
If you see a pregnant goat in the market, it means there's a pregnant problem in the house.
Even though the bird flies in the air, its funeral is performed on the ground.
Well, if someone dies in the market, there's no need announcing his death. And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News. On myjoyonline.com, stories like special prosecutor invites money spraying NDC MP aspirant over suspected case of corruption. We have that and more. Also, Edem Agbana insists he won the K2 North elections. That and more on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. We have Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil up next. Have a good afternoon.